DJ Drabs, also known as Dave Drabiuk, is the quintessential guy when somebody says, I know a guy. So Cale and I thought for an episode centered on athletes and wellness, we had to sit down and talk to him. So Drabs has been the head coach at Augustana since 2004. If I went through all of his credentials, we'd be here until I'm as old as he is. But if you're wondering why you should sit down and listen to this guy, he's done all of this and more. He has a Bachelor of Physical Education and a Bachelor of Education from the University of Alberta. He has a Diploma in High Performance Coaching from the National Coaching Institute in Victoria, a Level 3 NCCP certification in football, a Level 4 in basketball, and he spent 4 seasons as a minor official in the CFL. Boom! At Augustana, he was featured on the original Choose Vikings original song. In 2018-19, he was awarded the Coach of the Year award in the ACAC, but this wasn't officially awarded to him because he was busy throwing temper tantrums on the side of the court as opposed to actually coaching the games. But we love him anyways. He was also the head coach for the 2018-19 season when we were the bronze medal team in the ACAC. And then for Basketball Alberta, he was the Director of Coaching Development for Boys Basketball. In 2017, he was awarded a silver medal at the Canada Summer Games as the assistant coach for Team Alberta. And he was the head coach of Team Alberta at the Arctic Winter Games. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's conversation on athlete wellness and mental health. Be sure to let us know, and Drabs know, what you guys thought of the episode. And thank you again for listening and becoming a part of the conversation. Every episode you guys listen to and every episode you guys share, it's another episode we can make for you because can't produce the content if you guys don't want to hear it. So, long intro, but I hope you enjoy. All right, so welcome back. We're here recording in a very different location. We're actually at Augustana. So this week we are going to be talking about sports and we are going to be talking about mental health as well when it comes to sports. And to do that, we sought nobody better for this job than Mr. Dave Drabiuk right here. So he's the head coach of the Augustana Vikings program, the men's program. He coached me for 3 years and he's coaching Cale going into his second year here at Augustana. So thanks for coming, Drabs. It's good to see you. It's been
Thanks
a while.
for the invitation. It's good to see you too. This has been great.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just to start off, I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from in schooling, and how you got into coaching, how you ended up at Augustana, all that stuff.
Sure. I grew up in a smaller community outside of Edmonton called Fort Saskatchewan, which is confusing if you don't know Alberta. Went to high school there, went to the University of Alberta in Edmonton, got a Bachelor of Physical Education degree, thought I was going to be an athletic therapist. Somewhere along the way in the degree, I realized it was more fun to break you than fix you. So I went into coaching.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Then you got in the words of my father, I'm so proud of you for getting an undergraduate degree. Now, what are you going to do with a phys ed degree? Mm-hmm. Which then became an ed after degree, which was really the opportunity to stay involved with coaching because you get the bug, and in Canada there's only so many places out, well, especially back then, and I don't want to say exactly how long ago that was, but it was a while ago. There weren't a lot of opportunities outside the school system to coach. So you really saw that as a direct path as a teacher, coach. It was really easy. So did my ed after degree, so I've got a phys ed major and a religious and moral education minor in my ed degree, and started teaching back at my old high school,
Nice.
which, let me tell you, is a bit of an experience.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. Some good, some not so much. A lot of the same teachers were there. So that was, again, some good, some bad. Along the way, continued to work through National Coaching Certification Program, get my credentials and my certification. There was a great opportunity. I was working with provincial teams. I got a great opportunity when I was an undergrad to work with a provincial team under the head coaching of a guy by the name of Ken Larson. Ken, former national teamer, had head coached at McEwen for a while. He's got quite a resume. So getting to work as kind of an apprentice coach under him one summer that really kind of clicked the bug there. I wasn't going anywhere after that. And after about 8 years of teaching and coaching in a smaller school. So it was basketball was my focus, but I also got to be the golf coach, the staff advisor for the girls soccer team, the track and field guy. It's what you do, and it's great because you get to play around with all those different skills you learn in your undergrad. It was a lot of fun. The National Coaching Institute kind of came across my horizon, so I took a year leave of absence from school, went out to Victoria, worked on my Master's of Education and the National Coaching Certification, their Diploma in High Performance Coaching. So I was kind of doing both at the same time. I got to be an assistant coach at the University of Victoria Vikings for a season, or the Vikes now, I guess they're rebranded. And then came back here to Alberta, worked with a really good friend of mine as his assistant coach with a women's program in the ACAC. And then it was just the whole, you're leaving the NCI. Similar to what I'm sure you've gone through. Okay, you're done. Now you're throwing out resumes and trying, all that. So I was doing the same thing now, leaving the NCI.
Right.
Had a couple of interviews, had a couple of really weird interviews. Nothing really clicked. Shout out to Craig Anderson for getting that job I interviewed for.
He's a quality human being.
He is a quality. He is. I mean, if you're going to lose to a job to someone, that's a quality human being to lose it to.
So which job was that?
I'm not gonna. He can tell you that.
For those of you who are wondering, Craig Anderson was our coach in high school as well. So Drabs definitely knows him through coaching. So.
Yeah, and lots of paths crossing with him. And a lot of other Mike Stevens and a lot of those guys.
Yeah. Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, in the world of coaching, have you experienced that it really is that small of a world? Like, coaches that you were training with to become a coach, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Do you still see them through the sport? Maybe not in Alberta, but competing or helping their athletes compete somewhere else?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that small.
Yeah.
And it is something as simple as... now that I'm in this position and I'm recruiting and I'm out at a high school tournament somewhere, like, gosh, that guy looks familiar. Wow, we coached against each other 15 years ago.
Right.
Or we were in that same level 2 coaching clinic way back when, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's absolutely that small. And now at our level, or the level I'm at right now, it's almost even smaller.
Oh yeah.
Wow. And we've already mentioned his name. So you look at a guy like Craig, who I think is now at his third ACAC school as a head coach. So someone's like, oh, there's this new coach over at that school. He's not real. He's new to that school.
He's new to you.
Yeah, he's new to you. Not so much.
Yeah,
good to know where my buddy Craig ended up, kind of thing. So yeah, it's a pretty small world, and it's really hard to go more than one or two people that haven't crossed paths with someone you know. If I need to find out about someone,
And especially for you, because you've been in the industry for so long, you've probably seen he was a coach and now his son is coaching at this program. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Through the generations. So that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
for sure. It is really cool, actually. And the guy that took over, or that I took over for here at Augustana that was coaching, who was a friend of mine. Right. We used to work the old summer camp together and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I ended up coaching his son here, which, so again, it's not only are you seeing guys that you used to coach with and watch their sons or daughters coach, but then there's the other side of it, which is, oh my goodness, now I'm coaching their kids too, which is a whole different emotional thing. So, and then, so this job, as I said, I knew the guy that was he was stepping away to work on his PhD. And he wanted to leave the program with someone in interim for a year, and he trusted me with the job. A bit of a weird happening. Not a lot of people know this part of the story, but I was still coaching that women's team at the time. And as you guys know, the women get the full hour warm-up and whatever, all that time. Well, while our team was doing the hour warm-up, I was up in the athletic director's office interviewing for the job.
Wow.
And then we came down, we played them. Got back on the bus, went home.
It's a business trip, man.
In more ways than one, it was a business trip.
That's awesome.
So just the weird world of sports. And then took the job as an interim for a year. And then when he said, "Hey, I don't think I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Family, life, a lot of different priorities. What do you think? I'm like, I think I like it here. This would be good. So then I had some things I had to take care of with the school board because I'd taken a leave of absence, and there's some paperwork there, and been here ever since.
Right.
Is I think the way we finish that story.
Is there like a point in that journey that you knew for sure, like, this is what I want to do, like where it really clicked for you? You really knew you wanted to be a coach?
Yes. And so the year before I graduated high school, I went back and coached the football team I had played for.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a band. Well, actually, no, I was in the same minor football association, but coaching the really young kids, like the entry level age group at that time. That summer of coaching convinced me that's what I wanted to do. So I knew even in grade 12 that somehow coaching was going to be part of what I did. Back then, you could go back and be a 12R. You could go back and play as a returning grade 12, second year grade 12. And I actually, I did that for a semester. And they knew it was only a semester, so I didn't play a ton. But what I did do is I was also assistant coaching our JV team at my high school at the same time because I already had the bug. So by the time I got to college and university, I was like, that's it. I'm in. I'm fully in.
Nice. And you mentioned that you were kind of an apprentice under Ken Larson. That's his name?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Ken's very intense.
Okay.
And that was a unique experience for me because I had never been around I had been around coaches that by today's standards would almost be called abusive. And that was just the way it was back then.
Right.
But Ken brought a different type of intensity that I loved because it forced me to just be sharp and on my toes at all times. He was really bringing, and if you're a Canadian basketball fan and you know the name Jack Donahue, Ken played for Jack Donahue, Coach Donahue. So he was trying to bring a lot of those life lessons and all the things that make Coach Donahue beloved across Canada, trying to bring that into his coaching. So I got that firsthand and got the lunch break stories about their trip to wherever and getting that human touch and hearing about some of those adventures, which really even more made me go, you can do more than just draw X's and O's. You can do more than just pace up and down the sidelines and yell. You can touch people's lives, and you can be involved in ways that at that time I really didn't know about. I mean, football coaching is a little different. Like there's a testosterone level around football teams that we tend not to really engage a lot, or at least that's the way I was taught. So that was really the first time I really saw a coach have. Back then we would have said push those other buttons,
Right.
as well as just trying to get the athletic performance out of guys, and that was meaningful for me. That was real. And the nice thing was, he was an instructor at that time, like a sessional, really, on campus, so I could go and see him in the fall and stay in touch with him and kind of go back and learn some lessons and things. And I'm going to say that the guy that was the men's basketball coach for the Golden Bears at the time, I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why. But there were a lot of people that were scared to go up to his office, but I could go knock on his door, and if he wasn't busy, be like, yeah, come on in, sit down. What do you want to know? What's the question? And I'd ask, like, hey, I sat there and watched you, watch practice yesterday, and you did this thing, and I'm wondering why. I mean, throw his feet up on the desk and explain the whole thing to me.
Right.
And why, I don't know. Like, I didn't earn that by being a former player. Maybe some of the guys on the team vouched for me, I don't know, but I was really fortunate to have that experience as well. So I've tried to remember that here, that if somebody were to come up to me on a Monday or Tuesday and go, hey, I was watching you do this thing,
Right.
absolutely I'm going to answer your question, because people did that for me, so that's the least I can do to pay that back.
So you said earlier that that's just how it was at the time, and how do you think that has changed? Because in my experience, coming from Aberhart, so we had two coaches that were by far two of the most loving human beings that I think I've ever met in my life. But
I think I know both of them, and I agree 100%.
Exactly, right? And one of them, like Craig, when he would get angry, he would get angry. And, like, you knew he was angry. Everybody was paying attention to Craig. And if you said a word when Craig was angry, like, it was over for you. And then Murray was around, and he would usually be there. It wasn't really a shoulder to cry on, I'm not going to lie, because that's not who Murray is. But he would be the one you go talk to after you had that issue, right? But they were so loving. And, like, family academics basketball is something that Craig stands for. Like, those are the priorities when it comes to those three things for him. And I can see the way he holds his programs, that permeates through his teams. And then I came to Augustana, and evidently, like, that kind of love and care is still there with the program that you have built, and it has changed astronomically. But the assistant coach that we had here when I got here, it was just a personality that I had never met before, because he's coming from nothing but the best place, but it's very blunt, and he's just going to tell you what he needs you to hear. Like, he doesn't care how it makes you feel. You know what I'm saying? And that was quite a transition for me. So how has that changed the coaching landscape?
That coach that you're talking about still would be seen as a softie compared to the guys I got. I don't like the way we performed on the weekends, so you're all going to lay on your backs holding your masks, raise your feet this far off the ground, and I'm going to run across your bellies wearing my cleats because I'm not happy and you guys aren't tough enough. That's a whole different level of, I vividly remember the day he lost the locker room when he yelled at our guys, "We demand your respect, but you have to earn ours." Yeah. And you could just see the light go out. Like, when the best players on the team, when you see the light goes out, I'm sorry, the rest of the team is following them, coach.
Exactly.
And not that I've ever tried to tippy-toe around that, but I've also tried to be very cognizant of kind of what flies. So that era was completely different. Like, that era was the era of, well, want your guys to work harder, you insult their family, you talk about their manhood, or you talk about whatever.
Nothing's off limits.
Nothing's off limits. You almost didn't want coach to find out the members of your family, because somehow that was going to end up in a conversation.
Right.
So an entirely different way of coaching, which was motivating and being hard, and iron forges iron. Right. So the harder I am on them, the stronger they will become. And I'm going to say that there are a lot of really tough SOBs that came out of that, because you had to be. But I also think there were probably some pretty talented folks that went and found other things to do.
Right.
I think we're seeing that with one sport in Canada in particular, where what's going on in the locker rooms and what's going on in the culture of the parents and in the stands and stuff is more and more kids are dropping out of that sport. And we're finding that numbers in other sports like soccer or basketball and things are growing because people are like, that one I don't like so much anymore. I'm going to try this one. So even that blunt delivery, I think now, say in the last 15 years, that blunt delivery is still coming from a place of I care.
Right.
But I'm just not, the only thing more painful than truth is false hope.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to tell you, if you just did these two things, you'd be starting. No, I'm just going to bluntly tell you, look, you're behind that guy, but I need 8 good minutes from you. And I'm just being blunt. And then you got to walk away from that and go, oh, man, that hurt. But it comes from a place of, I just want to be honest and truthful with you.
Right.
And that's... you can call me a lot of things, but you can never call me a liar.
You calling me a liar? I ain't calling you a truther.
Exactly.
Right? So I think it has shifted.
Yeah.
And it has changed. And we talk about it a lot as a coaching community, or at least my friends do, about, oh yeah, that thing that my coach said to me, or the other guy will say, oh yeah, well, my coach used to say, yeah, we can't do that anymore. And we're happy about it. Like, nobody's saying, oh gee, I can't call you names. But I look back on my first couple of years here where I was still carrying some of that and thinking, well, I'm in the adult league now, I can say some of these things or try to do, and guys coming up to me going, no.
Right.
And I think that was good, and I've always appreciated that. Like, the leaders on that team came to me and just went,
Is that how you want to win your guys over?
Yeah. And, when we see you 80% of the time and you're not doing that, and then that comes out, this just feels contrived.
Right.
And this just, like, it doesn't feel like you talked about with Craig, where, oh my, we've passed the line, everybody just silently listen, and we'll get on with it. They said, when you have those moments, Dave, we're good. But this other thing over here you're doing just doesn't. And so I was like, thanks. Like, otherwise, it's like any other feedback. Like, if you don't get feedback, what do you do?
Exactly.
So I was fortunate that I had some good leaders that year, or guys that cared enough that would come to me and say, look, just drop that part. So,
Well, that's all for the first part. Drabs went ahead and blessed us with enough content to make 2 episodes out of this conversation, so stay tuned for part 2 tomorrow.